Introduction. The Scrolls Beneath the Sun. Beneath the golden rays of the African sun lies a land steeped in history, mystery, and divine echoes. Ethiopia, a nation whose past stretches not just through time, but through scripture, myth, and metaphysical speculation. While the world often focuses on Jerusalem, Rome, or Babylon when considering the origins and journey of the Bible, Ethiopia stands quietly but powerfully as a sentinel of truths that predate and perhaps even reframe many of our religious assumptions. This story isn't just a retelling of old tales. It's a challenge to modern theology, an exploration of the African Eden, and an unraveling of a cosmic narrative hidden beneath the surface of what most people think they know about the Bible. Chapter 1. Eden on the Nile. When the book of Genesis speaks of Eden, it names rivers: Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates, two of which are unmistakably Mesopotamian. But Gihon is said to compass the whole land of Cush, an ancient kingdom widely acknowledged by scholars to be Ethiopia or Nubia. Could the paradise described in Genesis have existed, at least partially, in Africa? This theory isn't a marginal thought. It's rooted in both linguistic evidence and early Christian interpretation. Church fathers like Origen and Augustine debated the geography of Eden, with some conceding that Africa might be Edenic in origin. Cush, the son of Ham, becomes a central figure in this story. He fathers Nimrod, the mighty hunter and kingdom builder who establishes Babel and Nineveh. But Cush's domain, the African continent, stands as the primal geography of early humanity in Scripture. In Genesis 2:13, the Bible reads, "The name of the second river is the Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush." This simple line, often overlooked, may be the most provocative geographical clue in all of Scripture. Could Eden have been in Africa, and more specifically, Ethiopia? If so, it repositions African soil not as the periphery of the biblical story, but its beginning. Chapter 2. The Lineage of Giants and the Watchers. Before the flood, there was corruption, not just of mankind, but of the very DNA of creation. Genesis 6 tells us that the sons of God, being Elohim, saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and took them as wives, producing Nephilim, or giants. In the Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text excluded from most Western canons, but preserved in its entirety only in Ge'ez, the ancient Ethiopian language, we are given a vivid, disturbing narrative. These sons of God were watchers, fallen angels who taught humans forbidden knowledge: alchemy, astrology, weaponry, sorcery, and birthed monstrous offspring. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church has always canonized the Book of Enoch. Why did Western Christianity reject it? What truths does it hold that made it too dangerous? Enoch, the seventh from Adam, is said to have walked with God and was taken up into heaven without dying. According to Ethiopian tradition, Enoch not only recorded divine knowledge, but was shown the architecture of the universe, the inner workings of time, and the ultimate fall of the Watchers. He became a proto-Christ figure, a man ascending into divinity, a motif mirrored in Ethiopian monastic mysticism. This cosmology, preserved in Ethiopia but lost in the West, tells of a cosmic rebellion, a hybrid race of giants, and a divine judgment that leads to the Great Flood. These narratives push us to ask, was the fall of man only about disobedience or about forbidden knowledge? Knowledge still locked away in Ethiopian manuscripts. Chapter 3. The Ark, the Covenant, and Ethiopia's divine right. Perhaps no artifact is more revered or mysterious than the Ark of the Covenant, the gold-covered wooden chest said to house the stone tablets given to Moses on Sinai. The Bible is silent on its fate after the Babylonian conquest, but Ethiopian tradition is not. According to the Kebra Nagast, the Glory of Kings, written in the 14th century, but drawing on much older oral traditions, the ark was taken from Jerusalem by Menelik I, the son of King Solomon, and the Queen of Sheba, Makeda. Menelik, raised in Ethiopia, visited his father as a young man and returned home not just with gifts, but with the ark itself, taken either by divine command or stealth, depending on the version. What's profound is this: Ethiopia claims to possess the ark to this day, hidden in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum, guarded by a single monk who remains in the sanctuary for life. Western scholars scoff at the claim, yet none are allowed to see the ark. None can definitively prove it is not there. Why would a nation guard a lie for over 2,000 years? The ark in Ethiopia symbolizes more than power. It confirms Ethiopia's divine election. If the ark is truly in Ethiopia, then Jerusalem is not the only sacred city. The covenant is not solely Israelite. The chosen people might have never left Africa. Chapter 4: The Jesus Line and the Ethiopian Eunuch. The New Testament also centers Ethiopia at a critical moment. In Acts 8, an Ethiopian eunuch, treasurer to Queen Candace, is baptized by Philip, becoming the first non-Jewish convert to Christianity. This isn't just a footnote, it's a theological earthquake. It marks the expansion of the gospel beyond Israel, and not to Rome first, but to Africa. Christianity did not move from east to west, but from Semitic to Cushitic, from Jerusalem to Axum, from Hebrew to Ge'ez. Furthermore, there is a unique Ethiopian tradition that connects Jesus himself to Africa. Some apocryphal accounts claim that during the flight to Egypt, the Holy Family passed into Upper Egypt and perhaps even further south. In Ethiopian iconography, Mary and Jesus are often depicted as black, not symbolically, but literally. These perspectives challenge our Eurocentric vision of Scripture. What if Jesus looked more like an Ethiopian shepherd than a Western painting? What if the cradle of Christianity was as much in Kandar as in Galilee? Chapter 5: The Solomonic Dynasty and African Messiahship. For centuries, Ethiopia was ruled by emperors claiming descent from Solomon and Sheba. This Solomonic dynasty lasted until 1974, when Haile Selassie I, considered by some, including Rastafarians, to be a messianic figure, was overthrown. Haile Selassie's titles were no less than King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, Elect of God. These aren't mere political flourishes. They echo the messianic language used for Christ in Revelation. The claim here is staggering. If the Solomonic line is real, and if it reaches back to Solomon and Sheba, then the Messiah was already represented in Africa before the Roman Empire ever recognized Christianity. Could it be that the Messiah's throne never departed from Judah, but moved south into the mountains of Ethiopia? If so, Haile Selassie may not have been Christ, but rather the last link in a forgotten covenantal chain. Chapter 6: Lost Books, Lost Time. In Ethiopia, the Bible is longer. The canon includes books excluded from both Catholic and Protestant Bibles. Jubilees, Enoch, the Shepherd of Hermas, the Book of the Covenant, and more. This isn't merely about religious preference. It's about what narratives we've chosen to remember or erase. Why does the Western world fear these books? Because they suggest a more complex spiritual history, one not confined to the Levant or Rome. They speak of multiple creations, cosmic wars, and divine councils. They depict a universe alive with spirits, watchers, and sacred energies. The Ethiopian tradition refuses to flatten Scripture into mere dogma. Instead, it preserves a mystical, multilayered worldview where Christ is cosmic, history is cyclical, and Africa is central, not marginal, to God's plan. Conclusion: Rethinking the beginning. Ethiopia is not a footnote in biblical history. It is a pillar, perhaps even the foundation. From Eden's rivers to the Ark in Axum, from Enoch's visions to Menelik's return, Ethiopia tells a story that rewrites the spiritual geography of the world. If Eden was African, and if the covenant crossed into Cush, then the center of biblical gravity has shifted. We are called not just to believe, but to rethink, to unlearn, and to ask difficult, liberating questions. What else have we misunderstood about Scripture? Who controls which texts are inspired? Is the African presence in the Bible a hint at an origin deeper than we imagined? The Bible, it seems, was never merely a Middle Eastern story. It was an African one too, from the very beginning. And perhaps the final revelation will not come from Rome or Jerusalem, but from a small chapel in Axum, where a monk still guards the ark, and a history that could transform our understanding of God, humanity, and ourselves. From Eden to giants, Ethiopia's epic Bible Origins Explained is not just a story. It is an invitation to rediscover the sacred, to dismantle colonial theology, and to see the Bible not as a closed book, but as a living library, with Ethiopia as its forgotten cornerstone.